why isn't my mom coming home? Something's going on. There's something going on that people aren't telling me. And so I cornered one of her employees and I said, something is wrong with my mom and you're gonna tell me. And she just looked at me and she just had tears in her eyes and she was like, I'm so sorry, your mom has leukemia, she's sick. And I just totally, 17 years old, it's like you just don't even know what to think.
Welcome to Seriously Catherine, a self-confidence podcast for women who want to be taken seriously in the world of business. Here's your guest host, Brittany DeMarco-Furman.
So welcome to the Seriously Catherine podcast with the takeover by The Undertaker. Oh, guys, it's my final episode here as taking over on Catherine's podcast under the name Buried in Conversation, and it's been so much fun. Time flies when you're having fun, isn't that right? You know, all good things do come to an end. I hope I inspired some people out there that want to learn more about becoming a funeral director. Maybe you're applying to mortuary science at HVCC while I'm talking. If so, please message me on Facebook or Instagram. My handle is Buried in Conversation. I would love to be your guide, your resource into this very purposeful and beautiful job, which people think it's morbid and dark. It really isn't. So follow me to the lightness if you would like to join this profession that nobody really thinks about, but also as just a person that learned about the death industry and my job as a funeral director. I encourage you to reach out to me at my family firm, GlenvilleFuneralHome.com. I'm there as a resource, a guide, and just somebody who can educate you on the conversation that nobody wants to talk about. Today's guest is a ray of sunshine. As you can see from my outfit, I wanted to illuminate her personality, which is pure light. Ashley Salvatore, who I say is the local influencer. So coming up later is a serious business lesson. And I used to think I could do everything, put a lot on my plate, but then my hair started to fall out. So let me share my tips and tricks with you. But first, a hot take brought to you by Paint and Sip. This hot take is about my favorite celebrity that unfortunately just passed away, Shannon Doherty. Shannon was on my favorite TV show, Charmed. And also 90210. I never got into that show, but Charm was my favorite show growing up. I did know that she had cancer, and unfortunately she did pass away last week. She's also now in the news because her funeral has happened, and she had a list of people that can come to her funeral and cannot come to the funeral. So this is my hot take today as your funeral director friend here. It is okay to make a list and pre-plan for your family. You are in charge of your funeral if you come and meet with a funeral director. If it's etched in stone that I don't want so-and-so to be there, let's respect your final wishes. And which I do so with people who pre-plan. However, as a funeral director, I don't always have those answers, and there are many different personalities that are coming to me. They're grieving, they're fighting, let's be honest. I become a mediator. There can be one family member or child who says, Mom did not like this person. I do not want them there. Let's make sure that it's a private only event, or she was more private as a person. We should follow her final wishes. And then another sibling goes, well, Mom has all these friends that we don't know about and her whole life before us. And I think it's a good idea to have it public and have people be there. Also, I want my friends to be there for my support system. So you have two separate opinions. And as a funeral director, you kind of have to come in and be the mediator. In these situations, I can welcome the family to come privately for an open casket or a memorial gathering prior and kind of catch their breath, and they make the decision if they want the casket closed or open then and there. And then we have a 1 hour gathering where the friends can come and share their memories, be there for them as a support system. But then afterwards, the service is private and the burial is private because those are the more intimate gatherings of the events. So I'm a funeral director, but I'm also a mediator. And in regards to my beloved Charmed star, it was her decision. So everybody should respect that. And I really, truly will miss seeing her on TV. May she rest in peace. So welcome back to another episode here with Buried in Conversation, where we go 6 feet down in conversation about life and just the things that make us tick and just things to educate the public when we do talk about grief and the funeral process. I have a ray of sunshine here with me today. That's why I wore this color, because you literally just like illuminate sunshine. Well, let's start with your name. You are Ashley Salvatore.
I'm Ashley Salvatore, married to the 2-time national mullet champion of America. My husband would really want you to know that.
And we are certainly going to be talking about him later today.
Great.
But you really are behind every great man. There's a great woman. And I think we all can say that you are the foundation. You are the foundation. You are the promoter of all that. And honestly, if I was to have a brand or something launched, I'd be calling you first.
Well, thank you. I received that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about you because you're actually not from the Saratoga area. And you kind of just like appeared out of nowhere a few years ago. And I was like, she looks fun.
Thank you.
I remember following you on social media, and I just felt that light. And I think a lot of people listening in, we can agree that there's some people on social media that you've never met before, but you feel connected to them.
Yeah.
And just follow their journey. You're always like applauding from afar. And when you do meet, like we did, and now we have been meeting, it's just so fun. And, you know, you can make friends as an adult.
You really can. It's hard. Last night we had a mocktail mommy event. So it's like a sober event that I host with my good friend Kyle. And her and I also just met through social media. It is hard to make friends as adults, but it's not impossible.
And you make it so easy. I have to go to one of those events. I was going to sign up for the Toro one, but obviously work confliction. But also, if you are, you know, if you just want the mocktails, because let's be real, they're delicious.
Yeah.
Or if you are just on that sober journey and you want that group of friends, or you are pregnant, it is literally a group of fun women just coming together, drinking wonderful mocktails and creating new friends. It is like a networking event.
It is. We had so much fun last night and so many new friendships were formed. I think the next one is going to be in the fall because Kyle is about to be a real mommy. She's popping.
I see that.
She's due in August.
I don't even know her in person, so she's another one. But I'm like, oh my gosh.
You guys would be fast friends for sure.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll have to be connected with her. So you are one of the founders of Mocktail Mommy, which we'll have to drop in the show notes here. Fabulous event. And it just shows you like you make friends everywhere you go. I can't even remember how or what post it was, but I was immediately drawn to you. And it was a few years back. And you also kind of told me about your grief experience because you saw me as a funeral director. So that is why I wanted you here today, because you have a journey and you have inspiration to give to others.
Thank you. No, so I grew up in Ohio, and then when I turned 18, I moved to New York City. I went to a very small Christian liberal arts school called the King's College, right near Wall Street. My freshman year, it was in the basement of the Empire State Building, which I feel like nobody believes me, but that really was our life for the whole year.
So cool. And before I can even like talk about that, that's a lot to like. Who goes to New York City from Ohio to the Empire State Building? That is a big change. But you as a teenager, or even before then, you have a sibling. You have a sister you told me about.
I do. I have a much cooler younger sibling. Her name's Hannah. She's gonna be 24 in August.
She's the younger one.
She's the younger one. We have like a 9-year age difference. She's just a much cooler version of me. She's got tattoos. She has a nose piercing. Like,
is she considered Gen Z?
I think so.
Yeah. So that's we're millennials. So we're the cooler ones.
I got to teach her. I got to teach her all the things. Got to teach her about white chicks. Got to teach her about all these things that were just like before her time.
They don't make movies like that anymore.
I know.
So your sister, any other siblings?
I have 2 half-brothers that my father has from a previous marriage. So they're a bit older than me. I'm 31. My brothers are in their 50s.
So you're kind of in this like middle place. You had family who was older than you, and then a younger sister. So, I mean, it could be something that's a balance of like how your personality is, like the old soul, but also like so new age too. A middle child, sometimes they say can be lonely and you become your own person.
Yeah.
I think one thing that stood out about you to me is you were always just like this, you know what? I like to milk cows. I'm just going to go and try that out because that's an experience, kind of like a bucket list. And do things on your own. And if you do go and have dinner at this new place by yourself, you'll probably leave with 2 or 3 new best friends. How does that mentality come? Was that something that you were raised with having?
Well, there's a little bit to unpack here. I had grown up in Ohio. I moved to New York City when I turned 18. I ended up in Saratoga in 2020 me when I met my now husband. But I spent pretty much all of my 20s in New York City kind of just coming into my own. But the reason that I had moved to New York City is that my mom had passed away very suddenly when I was 17. So I was born to a teen mom. It's a probably much bigger story, maybe a different podcast, but my parents met through a religious cult and they had a 33-year age difference.
Wow.
So my mom got married when she was 16. She had me when she was 17. We were extremely close. Like, if I could have crawled back up into my mother's womb and lived there, I probably would have. Like, we were just so close. I would hang out with my friends on the weekend, but also my mom. Like, we were just very, very close. She was a business owner. She owned a Vera Bradley Pandora store. She got in on that when that was, just popping off. Yeah, we were really close. So she one day felt like she just wasn't feeling great. She thought maybe she had mono. And I remember it was when the new Shrek movie came out because my mom was going to see the Shrek movie with my little sister and the neighbor boy. And she was like, you guys, I'm just going to stop at the ER. I don't feel right. I've been drinking a ton of Mountain Dew. Nothing is reviving me. I feel like I have mono. A bunch of my employees have had mono. She went and I remember she was like, I got to get going. Like, I got Shrek. I got to watch Shrek. And they were like, whoa, hold on. You have a childhood form of leukemia. We don't know how you've lived this long, how this hasn't surfaced until this point in time. She was 35. Immediately rushed to Cleveland Clinic, which is the best care really that you can get in this country. She was diagnosed with cancer. None of the employees told me. No one told me she had cancer because she was like, do not tell my kids that I have cancer. I am going to beat this. I am going to come home. Nobody talk about it. So a week went by and she was at the Cleveland Clinic. And I remember feeling like I was just a bratty teenager, to be totally honest. I was annoyed because it was about June. I had all these graduation parties to go to and I didn't want to go by myself. So I remember calling my mom in the hospital and being like, are you done? Why can't they just send you home? I don't want to go to these grad parties by myself. And she was like, yeah, they just don't really know what's wrong with me, but I'll be home really soon. I don't know, but I'll be home soon. So after 10 days, I was like, why isn't my mom coming home? Something's going on. There's something going on that people aren't telling me. And so I cornered one of her employees and I said, something is wrong with my mom and you're going to tell me. And she just looked at me and she just had tears in her eyes and she was like, I'm so sorry. Your mom has leukemia. She's sick. And I just totally, 17 years old, it's like you just don't even know what to think. So emotionally distraught. I go to the hospital and, it was very quick. They were very quick with the chemo, head shaved right away. They were really on it. And my mom was like, I am coming home. I am going to beat this. I am going to live. She actually went into remission. She was ready to come home at about 3 weeks. She had beat cancer. Technically, she was ready to come home. We lived in the country. I had to get rid of all of my farm animals. I had 2 cats that had kittens the same week. I had a dog that had puppies. They were like, you have to get rid of all of the animals, kind of explaining it to a teenager, your mom kind of has to live on house arrest. She has a very low, weakened immune system. We need her to fully recover at home. No germs, sterile environment. This is going to be your new norm for a while. We were fully ready to receive her after about 3 weeks of her going through chemotherapy. Unfortunately, my mom got a bed sore while she was there. And when they went to just kind of do a quick procedure just to cut it off, because she had no immune system, she got a flesh-eating bacteria and passed away on the operating table. So it was just, it's a whirlwind. It was such a whirlwind. This year, she passed away my junior year going into my senior year of high school. So it's been about 14 years now, if my math is right. But losing a parent is so hard, but my mom was my best friend. We were completely just inseparable. And the second that she died, I felt like I had 2 of these competing things happening within me. I was like, life is so short. It can be gone like that. But there was another part of me that was like, I do not want to go on with my life. I don't want to go to college. I'm never getting married. She won't know my husband. I will never have children. I do not want to move forward with my life without my mom. Because my parents had a 33-year age difference and they had met through a religious cult, it wasn't necessarily a healthy or romantic relationship. So when my mom had passed away, she died when she was 35 years old. No one thinks about dying when you're 35 and healthy and running businesses and, going on trips and going on vacations. Unfortunately, in Ohio, surviving spouse gets all. So my dad inherited all of my money for college. He sold the acreage that my mom was going to give me for a wedding present. He canceled my health insurance the next day. My dad loves money. So as distraught as he was over my mom passing away, it was very exciting to inherit a lot of money very quickly overnight, like a $350,000 house, all the boats, like all the things. I mean, it was already hard enough for me to lose my mom, but then to just be stripped away of like everything. I mean, I didn't see a doctor for probably 10 years because I didn't have health insurance and I didn't have anybody to like teach me how that worked, if that makes sense.
You're a child.
When I was 17, it was just really, really hard. And I think I was at this point where I was like, this whole environment is so toxic. These are my options. Work at the Vera Bradley Pandora store, these businesses that my mom had. My dad had inherited them overnight. They were set to be mine. So for so long, like I was never going to go away to college because I couldn't be separated from my mom. No one in my family had finished high school, so I was going to be the first one to, take some community college classes and, kind of help with the accounting and the things that my mom, didn't know. I mean, she was a teen mom. Basically, I realized I was in such a toxic environment. I can either stay here, try to win back these businesses from my father, or I just need to physically remove myself. I'm going to marry the next warm body near me, and I'm going to be stuck in this town, and I'm going to be miserable. I have to do something. So I had applied to the King's College. It was literally the only college I applied to. I had never even thought about going to college. Like SATs, what are those? Like I didn't give a rip at all. As soon as I was accepted, I just immediately went away. So as far as like the grieving process goes, I mean, you're 17, and then you're just in New York City with like the world at your fingertips. I mean, New York City is very different than the small town, anywhere. It really is like its own world. So I kind of spent, the greater part of my 20s kind of going through the grief process and all of the steps, and obviously not in order because everybody's grief journey looks totally different. I had met my now husband in 2018. He had come down to the city on a bachelor party. He's from this area.
Okay.
Scott and I met as total strangers.
Country boy in the big bad city.
Yeah, and I knew it right away. Like
I thought you were a city girl.
Thank you.
And you have that. But I also see you in the country here. But you fit in great too, because maybe the roots, because you talk about the farm. So maybe that this is like you're coming home too, in a way. Like, we're going to talk more about Scott. I want to call him the Lord's drapes.
You can.
We're going to have to talk about that too. Feels like maybe your mom sent him to you. You down the city, obviously I've seen some photos on your feed. You thrive down there, and you found a community because you went by yourself, correct?
I went by myself. I did not know a single person, and just kind of going back to that whole life is so short. It can be gone in a blink of an eye.
That's how you found your strength, it sounds.
Two, I mean, my mom truly was a rags to riches story. But when she was in the hospital, she never asked us to get out her millions of dollars and bring it to her bedside. She wanted pictures of the vacations we took. She wanted us to visit her. And I was like, oh, like this is what it's about. This is really what matters, is your relationships with people. That's just something that I'm very fortunate. Like, I'm sad that my mom passed away when I was 17, but oh my gosh, how happy I am that I had the mom that I had for the years that I did. And so when I had moved to New York City right after college, I didn't know if I should go back home, because at that point it was like, I was there for 4 years. Am I going to go back and try to win back the family businesses? I was working for an incredible, incredible family. I was their nanny. They had apartments above them in Brooklyn Heights that they rented out. So we kind of did like a nanny in exchange for rent situation. And they were just wonderful. I feel like God has put so many other amazing people in my life to help me along the way, because when my mom had first died, I was like, how am I going to go to college? How am I going to do all these things? And I was like, God sent somebody to take me on my college visit, somebody to move me into my college dorm. My boss was the first person to take me to my first OBGYN appointment. I had never been. Like, there were all these different people that had been put in my life.
Up. God put them into place, or your mom sent them.
Yeah.
Was your mom like a very colorful, bright? I can imagine you guys share the same personality.
Very colorful, very bright. I will give a plug, though, to someone at this point. I have to now, if we're going to be talking about colors. Amy from House of Colors. Have you heard of her?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so I used to wear all black everything because I was a New York City girl. I got my quote-unquote colors done with Amy in Saratoga. It's changed my life. I cannot recommend Amy enough. She has given me a whole new wardrobe.
We are now at your stage of life where you are down the city. And I did notice, because I just love that you really encompassed a New York City girl. And I think I read somewhere that you were from Ohio before, but I really this is really just setting the tone that you you were. Down the city, you lived in an apartment with their 2 twins?
Yes, Jacob and Michael, who are still my best friends to this day. They are the whole Ruhlman family. It's friends turned family. We're still very close. But right when I graduated from college, I was like, maybe I will stay. So the family I'd worked for offered me this apartment. Jacob and Michael, identical twins, both flight attendants, moved in with me, and we slept in bunk beds, which is like the least sexy thing that you can have when you're 25 years old, is like sleeping in bunk beds, and with 2 guys, by the way. And I remember like going on dates being like, yeah, you can't come back to my place because there's like 2 guys in the top and bottom bunk. And they were like, excuse me?
Following you on social media. What is your handle, by the way?
Very boring, very basic. Ashley Salvatore 92.
So if you're not following her already, please follow her. But this is about 2 years ago when we started like connecting.
Yeah.
Maybe even, oh my gosh, COVID really like messed up the time.
Oh, I have no sense of time.
Maybe since 2020 when you did come up here, which we'll talk about that later on. But I remember seeing your feed and I'm like, she is all over the place. What is she? Is she like a travel agent? The people who work for National Geographic, they go and take, I was like, what do you do?
Yeah.
I was creating something as a bucket list, and I started this kind of theme in my realm of a funeral director that, you know, we're all here for a short amount of time, make it count, do the things that you love. Tomorrow's not always promised.
Yeah.
Nothing's worse than living in regret.
Yeah.
And you certainly don't, and it creates inspiration. And I actually featured you on the Glenville Funeral Home social media account, and I got to learn a little bit about your mom's story and you as a young woman and who you were. I think it was like 2-3 years ago, and now though you are now married. That country boy that came down the city on a bachelor party.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So Scott and I met in 2018. He had come down on a bachelor party, and long story long, he had gotten separated from the rest of the group. I had given these guys directions. You live in Brooklyn for so long, you kind of recognize like who's a tourist and who lives there. They had walked into our local bar, and the only way you would even know that it was a bar if you lived there. So we don't even know how they got there. There was no sign outside. I basically had just given them directions and kind of saw them over the weekend with like a group of girlfriends. But then after that, it was like, go be upstate New York. Like, I never want to see you again. And I always say that I did meet Scott at his absolute lowest because bachelor party, New York City, St. Patrick's Day weekend.
Oh no, triple threat.
I mean, he's just embarrassing.
Yeah.
I have footage of him just doing the worm.
You typically don't marry your husband from that
No,
scene.
no. Again, just like love in a hopeless place. So we had literally just met as acquaintances, nothing romantic in the slightest. We had become Facebook friends, and then we went on our first date later on that summer. So we met in March of 2018, and then we went on our first date. I think it was like end of July we went on our first date. Yeah, I mean, that's just been like a total whirlwind thing too. So this past March, we've been married for 3 years. We got engaged the day before everything shut down. I mean, it was hard for everyone, but like to be in a new city, away from everything that I had known. And I was a brat when I left New York City. I was like, you have no good sushi up here. What do you do up here besides go to Target? Like, and that's kind of how, I was like, what do we do up here for fun? So there are so many fun things happening throughout the capital region that I wish more people knew about. It's just doing a little bit of homework on Wednesday or Thursday online. There are so many fun things happening up here. I feel like you just gotta look.
Yeah, exactly. From Facebook events.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes I literally am scrolling, like Wednesdays and Thursdays, scrolling the Facebook events, and I'm like, 35 minutes just went by that I did not have.
Yeah.
And you just see all these unique things from sound meditation and the full moon walks or historic or haunted tours. It's a lot from the history of this area to, you know, the fun things you can do with friends and family. So, well, Lords of Drapes.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
When we met, Scott did not have that mullet. I was fully tricked. He did not have that thing. So after like a year of dating, Scott was like, I don't know. I just, you know, he was in the Marines and very clean cut. And he goes, you know, I'm tired of looking like everybody else. I think I just want to do this thing. So his stepbrother had bought him tickets to the Daytona 500.
Oh, gosh.
And he was like, this is my time. When I tell you, like, I have spent more money on haircuts, treatments, hair masks, vitamins, everything I can my entire life to try to get my hair to grow. And this guy eats Stewart's and he grows his hair out twice as fast as I do. I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me. We've been dating for a year. I'm about to move up here, change my whole life for him, and I am angry. He shows up to my apartment around, I want to say Christmas. It was like Christmas of 2019. And he showed up to my apartment and he literally looked like Lord Farquaad. Like he had just figured out how to use a hairdryer. His hair's out to here. And I was just like, this looks so stupid. I'm changing my whole life for you. You can't even cut your freaking hair. I didn't say freaking, said the F word, and I don't ever curse because I'm a woman of God. It really upset him. He left my apartment in total silence, in a fit of rage, walked to CVS, bought clippers, came back to my apartment, plugged it in, no mirror, starts shaving his whole mullet. And then I'm like super emotional. I'm like, wait, don't cut your mullet. You love it so much. Don't cut it. He's like, no. It's really what's going to make you happy. But then he goes in my bathroom and he goes, if you think I look stupid with no hair, wait till you see what I look like with no eyebrows. And I was like, wait, what? So thank God my apartment was so old that there were no outlets in the bathroom, so he couldn't shave his eyebrows. But
The drama.
I mean, it was so emotional. I was very emotional about leaving New York City. He was emotional. You know, when I moved up here, January, February, we got engaged in March. He says that the day that his knee came off the ground to propose to me, he started growing that thing again. So this is actually his second mullet, which he says has come back with a vengeance. He entered the mullet contest that was all online. He wanted to compete in person at the Indiana State Fair, but it was my 30th birthday, and that's how you and I had connected. Was I really like to do a bucket list thing every year on my birthday. So for my 30th birthday, I wanted to go to the Amazon rainforest because I was like, I love animals, and I also don't know anybody that's ever been to the Amazon rainforest. I should be the first person that I know that's been to the Amazon rainforest. So we had this huge trip planned to Colombia, and Scott was like, I really want to compete. So he found an online registration. People were competing for mullets online. I almost didn't enter him because I'm so cheap and it cost $10. I was like, I'm just throwing away $10 on this stupid thing. So he entered the contest, and it really, I mean, it's all
voted.
voting. Thank you. Thank you for your service. He won. It was amazing. He was on the Today Show.
He's on Jeopardy.
He's a Jeopardy answer. Scott
He's a Jeopardy
is a Jeopardy answer. Yeah. He has just ran with this thing, and he's won 2 years now in a row. He keeps saying he's coming in for a three-peat, but as his campaign manager, I am tapped. I don't want to campaign anymore. I feel like he needs to know when to walk away. 2 years in a row. Nobody's ever going to win this again. 2 years in a row.
My daughter has a mullet, and every time I see you, I'm like, how's the mullet going? Because she's like, she has the little short bangs and the hair. And because my mom gave me a bowl cut and I refused to. So now she just has this like outgrown weird mullet on a girl.
I love it.
And so every time I see you and your husband, I'm like, hey, the next champ is coming.
Listen, there's a kids division. Kids can win $5,000.
Rainforest. What are you going to do for your bucket list birthday this year?
This year is tough. I'm going to be 32 September 8th, and I do blame my mom for this. My birthday, it's a very big deal. It is planned out from the morning, from the free Starbucks drink, all the way until at night. It is full on activities the entire day. I'm kind of teetering with Pitbull, T-Pain. Yeah. I want to see T-Pain so bad.
Oh my
I love
gosh.
him. And I feel like 16-year-old me, I'm making her so proud.
Wait,
T-Pain opening for Pitbull. I mean,
I think we should invite everybody to your birthday.
I
to
think
go
that's
get
what it's going to be, is T-Pain.
Pitbull. But I've also seen you've like milked cows, you've like sheared lambs. Is that sheep?
Yes.
Sheared?
Yes,
Like
the sheep. Shearing of the sheep.
I went to the county fair last night, and when I saw that sheep, I'm like, Ashley Salvatore shaved you.
Shave that thing.
I want to do that. We can try new experiences, be brave to just, maybe I will try the oysters. And if I don't like it, now I know I don't like oysters, and I can say I don't ever want to have that again.
That's right.
It's just, take a leap of faith.
That's right.
We have our faith, but this is our life.
Yeah.
You're Ashley Salvatore. I am Brittany DeMarco-Furman. I'm here to live, and that's what we have to create inspiration with, and every day's a gift. In regards to your faith, you are very involved at Star Point Church, correct?
I am. I actually worked there for the last 2 years. I'm not working there as of February, so now I work full-time in social media and events. I also work closely with the owners of Bold. So I just kind of made the transition to do that full-time. I absolutely loved working at the church. I feel like, I've been a Christian for a long time, but I'm the last person that I ever thought was ever going to be in ministry at all. I loved it so much, but we still attend, and I still volunteer with the high school ministry. So I have a small group of high school girls that I hang out with and, go over the lesson. And
you do the camp counselor too, right? You did that a few years.
Yes. So actually, high school camp is this week, and I'm so sad. I'm missing it.
Aww.
I know. That's just part of, the price you pay pay when you have to get that big girl job. So
Yeah.
it was so fun. I hope to go in winter. They do a winter camp too. It's really, in my mind, like how you stay young is to hang out with some of these younger people. Like they age me and they keep me young at the same time. Starpoint does a really great job of kids ministry and high school ministry. I mean, growing up, I didn't want to go to church. As a high schooler, you couldn't pay me to go. But I feel like they do a really good job with like connecting to that age group.
Yeah, I've seen it, and I know, raising my child as a Christian, and, where do I want her to go? And, I'm a person that kind of follows the paths of all faiths and beliefs too. I respect all religions, but you truly make it such a home and a community. And we're really lucky to have you sprinkle that fairy dust of love and faith to everybody.
Thank you.
Where can people find you if they have a brand or a business that they would like a little bit of your lights?
Yeah. Well, I feel like right now we're so busy working on so many different projects and helping so many different businesses with their social media that we ourselves don't have the best because we're so busy pouring into everyone else. I feel like the best way to get in touch with me, obviously, is online, Ashley Salvatore, or just shoot me an email. I'm with Swag House Productions.
And what's their email?
Ashley@swaghouseproductions.com.
So now we're going to kind of close this segment talking about funerals. I look like a highlighter, but I am a funeral director.
But this is what I love about you so much, and I just respect your profession, what you do so much, Brittany, because, oh my God, it takes a really, really special person to do what you do, to meet people truly like at their hardest and saddest moments of their life. To be able to connect with you on what is the worst day of someone's life is such a blessing. So I hope that you realize like you are making your life count.
It really means the world to me. And, this week especially is a hard week, and I have to just find that strength, but also know that this is something I have purpose in.
Yeah.
And, I'm just here to also just educate. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that we can have this platform together and make it a human experience, because life is, it's messy, but it's so
rough.
goddamn beautiful.
This year's been tough. This year we lost my grandpa, who was more like a father to me. My husband's mother passed away, and then my husband's grandmother, which he was extremely close with. I mean, it's been a hard year, and I feel like grief is so tough. And I was like, oh my God, times 3. Like, what are we being trained for? It's tough. So I can't imagine.
Everyone is different in its own way.
And
that unique
everyone,
bond
yes,
relationship, it
yes,
hits differently, and it hits later on too. You know, you might be okay, and especially for your husband, you had to be the rock for him. But there's gonna be something that sparks your grief, and it's always going to be with you. It's never going to go away.
That's so good.
And our happy and sad moments are together. As you have these happy moments, sadness is always there. Experiencing a lot of grief and loss recently. What was the funeral experience for you? Did you kind of like have a conversation or think in the back of your head, well, I don't want that, I would want this? Like, what are some positive takeaways from the funeral experience, and also negative?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I was 17 years old. I went into this straight denial phase. So you wouldn't know that my mom had passed away by talking to me. I was like, I might go to New York City. This is what's happening with my life. I immediately went to the denial phase. My entire family was so emotionally distraught over my mom passing away. It was a bomb. I feel like because I was so numb, I immediately was like, this casket, not this casket. You're speaking, you're not speaking. Everything was just like very matter of fact. I'm sure you hear this before, but sometimes it's a blur. The day you only remember sometimes certain things. My mom was so freaking funny. Like I feel like she was so funny. We did a closed casket, and, everybody goes up to the front and, we love you, Jenny, talking to her. I found out at the end of the day they had the casket flipped backwards, so everybody was going to my mom's feet, which it's like, if you're not laughing, you're crying. And to me, I was like, that was such a little like wink. It cracked me up. And then the music broke, so the only song that they could get to play was Temporary Home by Carrie Underwood over. And I'm talking hours of Carrie Underwood, Temporary Home.
Did your mom like Carrie Underwood?
I mean, yeah, but I feel like it was like that, and I Hope You Dance, but it was like, again. I remember that, but honestly, what I remember most is our funeral director. That's what I remember most. He was a customer of my mom's, the sweetest man I had ever met, and I remember he was just so sweet to me and so good to me. And, I was confused and a brat and a hot mess, and he was still just so sweet and so, so, so kind to me through that whole process. And he's really what that stood out to me about that day that was a good thing. As far as like negative things about the day, I mean, I think what's most surprising to most people is like I'm an extroverted introvert. I thrive socializing, but then I need that time to decompress. I remember never being able to be alone. People just like following me. I remember there were like train tracks out back and like I would go and just want to sit and watch the trains, and then I would have like a sea of people behind me. So for me, I remember just like wanting to be alone, but nobody wanted to. They were, feeling like they were helping and doing the right thing. Don't leave Ashley alone. Like we don't know what's going on in there. But yeah, I mean the day was tough, but really what I remember most is our amazing funeral director we had.
I know them personally and also professionally, and I will say they're my favorite breed of people too.
Yeah.
And they really are the funnest people.
They really,
because we know.
Yes.
Let me tell you, come to a funeral. You need to come to a funeral convention. It's at Turning Stone Casino for the New York State Funeral Directors Association.
Of course, it's
they
at Turning
turn
Stone.
up, and it's just.
I believe it.
It is like. I'm like, these are my people.
You know, one life to live. Everybody in that room knows, like, it could be tomorrow. Let's go. Let's bet.
And if it's like, we dress professional for like the learning seminars, and then we all turn into highlighters for going out because we're like, let's get out of the black.
I love it.
That's great. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that memory. And anything about, we're not manifesting anything of, you're not going to go anywhere anytime soon. Mm-hmm. But if you were to have a funeral in this time of your life, what do you see it as?
It's so weird. When I lived in New York City, I think I was living such a crazy rock and roll lifestyle that most people didn't realize. I've traveled all over the world. I've near been kidnapped in Jordan. I've met so many celebrities. I've done so much that I literally, at one point in time when I lived in New York City, had a note under my bed that said, if anything were to happen to me, don't be sad because I've lived. And that was 10 years ago. And I think about how amazing my life has been just in the last 10 years, just by saying yes to opportunities, saying yes to relationships, saying yes to things. As far as my funeral goes, I mean, I feel like a lot of people have to say this, but I do want people to just celebrate all the memories that we made, all the things that we've done together. I think one thing that makes me sad at funerals is I realize how hard it is to speak at funerals. I've spoken at many of my friends' funerals, my family members' funerals. I've been very involved. I think it makes me sad that not as many people get up and share all those dumb little stories and all those little, tidbits about that person. I would really love to see a huge line of people and everybody gets up and says the weird, embarrassing thing that I did. I want everybody to know about it. So I would say just share those stories. That's what I would love to see.
And those are the best funerals when you need one person.
Yeah.
The icebreaker.
Yes.
As a funeral director, this is like the one thing that I really just try to do for the families. If there's one thing I can do is to break the ice.
Yeah.
So I will put myself up there, and from what they told me, or there was a joke that they taught in the arrangements that the rest of the people don't know, and I will create a little storyline and be like, so raise your hand if you were there for this experience.
Yeah.
Then I just put them on the spot. It's like, okay, so you have the secrets. And I try to just pull, make it like I don't know, like in a way, just like an open mic, and they don't have to come up to the podium.
Right.
They could speak right from there.
Yeah.
Because not everybody wants to get up and speak in front of you. It is the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, it is.
If you could just shoot out, what's something that you're always going to remember, and someone says, oh, her pasta, it literally creates this whole conversation, and people feel this unity.
Yeah.
And so not everybody's going to be prepared to speak. Maybe somebody will have the guts to speak up. But if we can create a platform that everyone feels like they're a part of a conversation, it's just the most important thing to do, because we start grieving together. That's the importance of funerals. It doesn't matter if you have a wooden casket, you're cremated, you're going to be scattered amongst the Adirondack Mountains. If we can just come together just to honor and see that the ripple effect has created from a life, and to just move forward from that. I don't want anybody to ever think that they're alone with their grief. Well, this was like an amazing experience with you and conversation. I learned so much about you and the person you are today. I don't know how to describe you besides light. So
well, thank you. My faith is really, I feel like what has carried me so far in my life. I really believe that this life is temporary. For so long, I think I fixated on what I didn't have instead of focusing on what I did have. And I can look back at my life and my life now, and I think about all of the people that have been put in place in my life. But I think for so long, I was such a victim. I had such a victim mentality. Like everybody else gets parents. Everybody else has has parents that will pay for college. Everybody else has health insurance. Like I was so fixated on what I didn't have that I couldn't see what I did have. For anybody that is grieving right now, I feel like, the thing that's so loud is the loss and what you don't have anymore in your life. But for me, I feel like having this attitude of gratitude, which is something that my mom truly instilled in me. I mean, her life wasn't easy. She was raised in a religious cult and married someone 33 years older than her. I'm sure she had a lot to complain about. But just kind of having this attitude of gratitude and whatever your faith is, really just journaling and writing out what you have and what you're grateful for, whether it's, to be able to walk, to have coffee, to have your health, to have the loved ones that you do have. So I do start every morning with a little bit of gratitude. I do like a devotional, and I brought you one. Little Britney Spears in there. Yeah. It's Britney.
Stop.
It's Britney.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite ones. It's just like one page, a little scripture, a little nice way to get the day started.
I think that's so brilliant. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brittany.
So now a serious business lesson brought to you by the Palette community. It is okay not to do it all. I know social media gives this aesthetic to everybody that life is perfect and they have it all together. I feel like some people who don't really know me think that when they see my social media. That is so not true. I will start showing the dishes that are stacked high to the ceiling, the laundry on the floor, my bed's not made. And, it's okay to lose some battles in life, as long as you win the war, they say. Balancing my life, because it's so 24/7 and it is hectic, and still trying to find those small moments where I'm going to work a 13-hour day, but then go to the county fair at the end of the day. You're not going to be a Betty homemaker all the time. I'm in the season right now, it's busy, it's summer, that I'm going to pick and choose my battles. My tip for you is to be patient with yourself, but also to know what your tasks are for today that need to be done, and know that work can be postponed for tomorrow. Your life cannot. So live for today, hope for tomorrow. As a funeral director, I know that's not always promised, and just know your goals will be there. If you could just take out your calendar, whether that's a tangible calendar or your phone, put what your goals for today are, what your goals are for the week, and your goals for the month. Try as much as you can to make those reasonably be accomplished, but also know that you are human. It is okay to not be perfect. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to binge watch Emily in Paris because that's good for your mental health. Take the days for you because you are you. This is your life. So be patient with yourself, honey. Here is a Saratoga Lifestyle segment brought to you by their After Hours. Saratoga Living Magazine. Wow. I could just read you and just want to plan every single thing that's on there. I am in a season that's busy because it's summer and I want to enjoy Saratoga to its fullest. So last night, I went to the Saratoga County Fair. Let me tell you, I went from everywhere from the alcoholic wine slushies, which were delicious, to riding the whippet, which my neck still hurts from yesterday, to petting all these well-groomed animals that are all in competition. So I'm like, bless you, good luck tomorrow. I'm speaking to the animals. I'm just like, what else is there? Oh, the food. Like authentic gyros, the deep fried Oreos. I cannot believe I'm here today after everything I ate. Here I am to let you know that the Saratoga County Fair was fabulous. Thank you, Saratoga Living Magazine, for reminding me in your After Hours segment. But also tonight, I am getting into another theme. Yesterday, it was Dorothy with pigtails. Tonight, I am Earth, Wind, and Fire going to SPAC and enjoying that experience. Friday, I'm going to the Malta Speedway. Believe it or not, Glenville Funeral Home is sponsoring a race. So I can't wait to see what the announcer says on that. And hey, Jim Blue, if you are listening, you better win. I got money on you. There's so much stuff going on. And wait, let's see, Saratoga Springs, summer, the racetrack. I'm supposed to be going there this weekend. So finally, my goal is to see the morning backstretch tour and do breakfast at the track. So Saratoga is where it's at. Get to the After Hours to plan your weekend. We'll include a link in our show notes. The dying and the dead have a lot to teach us. Luckily, I have a front row seat to all the master classes and the forum to share all that I've learned. If my takeover has taught you anything, I hope it is this: the fact that love never dies. In the Grief Experience book, I continue with my quotes inside the book, reading, "Heartbreak will come and go for the rest of your life. And then one day our life is over, and someone else will have to endure the heartbreak as we have. And when we no longer write our own story, it becomes the responsibility of our legacy and the people you wouldn't ever expect to celebrate your memory, the last responders. As you continue your grief journey, please honor your loved ones daily by living for today, hoping for tomorrow, and appreciating the past. If you'd like to get your copy of the Grief Experience book here, which I am a collaborative author in, you can get it at the Northshire Bookstore right here on Broadway in Saratoga Springs, or easily on Amazon. And if you enjoy the book, please leave a 5-star review, because we are going international and we've actually won a few awards. So I'm very proud to be a part of this book. And if you are going through a grief experience, please know there are resources here to help you. Well, that's it, everybody. I am going to miss you, but hey, I think I'm going to be back soon. Death Wish Coffee or Fort Miller Vault Company, if you're listening in, I'd love you to be a sponsor. But for now, we'll see where we go. You can keep on following me in my journey at Buried in Conversation on Instagram. But for now, with love and peace, this is Buried in Conversation with Brittany DeMarco-Furman.